interesting stuff. What we're going to do now is invite Ian and Sheena and Cameron to now participate in our Q&A session. We've got about 15 minutes, and thanks everyone for popping your questions into the Q&A. I see that we've had a few of them already answered. So if anyone is interested in having a look at those previous questions, you just have a look at the answered tab in the Q&A section. And thanks to Ian and Sheena, who've also provided some answers today. So look, Ian, there's still a few more questions that are popping up for you. And how about I just put them to you, and you can maybe just talk through them. Firstly, we've got one from Paul Wood, and he says, Ian, I recall you mentioned that the body score went down with age, but weight went up. Are they more obese? Is that, that's what
No, not at all. The point is that the body condition score is a measure of body tissue reserves that are mobilisable in a broad context. So body condition score is a combination of muscle, fat. So the obesity, it suggests, will be lower. So they are less obese, but have more body weight in total. So the two concepts of body weight and body condition score are linked, but in fact, one is more or less a measure of mobilisable body tissue reserves. So no, they're unlikely to be more obese. In fact, they're probably less obese.
Thanks, Ian. And then there's a few more coming in for you as well, which we might come back to in a moment. But Sheena, interesting, in your presentation, you also mentioned that there's a similar project going on in Victoria. What's the connection or the collaboration between the two projects? And is there going to be a sharing of results as we go through there as well?
Yes, so Niall, I guess the two teams, the Victorian team and our New South Wales DPI team, we do meet regularly, weeknightly, fortnightly, to sort of discuss our approach on how the projects are proceeding and being reported on. AgVic are the same. They've done all their data collection to this point. They're on our timeline is end of June next year. Theirs is sooner than that, so they're getting closer to releasing data. And they're also potentially there'll be a sort of joint get together early next year on farm in northern Victoria as part of a larger program where they will be presenting results, and potentially, depending where we're up to with ours, we can present more of our results there. But we've still got a little. It's all just timing, I guess, in terms of when the two programs kicked off. And as I said, all the outputs of these two projects will lead into that decision support tool that Dairy Australia are developing.
Fantastic. So that's, I guess, another advantage of having, collaborators working in different areas, but also the common denominators like Dairy Australia being involved in this as well. Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Cameron, I'm not going to touch on your formula because that just gave me a headache having a look at that. Interesting about your team. The fact that you're bringing in people that maybe an expertise from other areas like Rio Tinto and others that haven't traditionally worked in the sector. What's that bringing in? And I guess how is that adding extra value and another set of eyes coming into our sector here?
Yeah, a fresh set of eyes, I got to say, Niall. I think fresh eyes and a training that's not in our industry. Now, bringing that outside expertise, I believe that's where the biggest wins are going to be for the industry. Employing another one of me, I think, is pretty useless. I don't know if I'm much use anyway, to be honest. No, but the expertise that are outside our industry are absolutely extraordinary. I mean, that's Anna out of Rio Tinto Centre at Sydney, all about asking questions about how to best, if you like, exploit the resource in the ground, and now putting that to good use in terms of how do we focus a little bit more above ground in terms of optimizing what's there. But just the knowledge and data science that's there is something that's typically not within our industry. So bringing that in. The other point to make is that the young scientists that are coming through. So I didn't really touch on Nick Chapman there too much. Undergraduate student, engineering student, phenomenal talent. You know, it's those people coming into the industry, I think, that'll serve the industry super well. And they get it straight away that if what they're missing is the right question, you know, and we get the questions really from our industry. So if they've got the right question put in the right way, they go to town, and it's quite easy to optimize these things. So it's not an issue bringing those, actually getting them into the industry is the issue, because they're obviously paid in other areas like banking, etc., very, very well, because they optimize things like profit. Yeah. But getting them in is the challenge. And introducing them to the things that we do, not so much. And it's their expertise that are fundamental, I think, to success, future success, or our competitive advantage in future.
Yeah, that's great. Ian, more questions. I think you've really hit sparked some interest here in what you're doing and the data that you presented there. But David's put a series of questions into the Q&A part. We might just pick up 1 or 2 points here. Are we breeding the right cows? And does production supersede everything else? Is it too early to tell, or you got a view on those?
Well, Australia's got some challenges because, as Sheena's pointed out, we've got different production systems, and perhaps different cows might be ideal for different production systems. However, it doesn't matter which way we look. You could look at New Zealand, you could look at Australia, you can look at America. What we've done is we have a cow that is capable genetically of producing far higher than they do. Even in the US system, these cows are still not producing probably to their genetic potential. So there will always be within a herd cows that are better able, more capacity to survive, more capacity to milk. So I think that variance is always going to be an issue. So it's not just, are we breeding the right cow? It's the variability about our ability to breed the right cow that's an issue. I think that the key point for David really is that the combination of good genetic selection and you know, that's what we're sort of focused on a little bit. By retaining our cows longer, we can exercise better genetic selection and reduce the variance and allow that cow to be better able to cope in our production system. But the great thing is we've got a lot of solutions around the nutritional and therapeutic space that mean that we're able to counter a lot of the issues that David's obviously mentioned. So, you know, I think the planning that we've got will be good. You know, perhaps that direction of Cameron's with being able to identify and address a cow more precisely, that may provide benefit. So we've got a lot of solutions already at our fingertips. We're developing new solutions, and that will be a combination of genetic selection and nutrition and management of the environment. Fair to say that, you know, our focus on these intensive versus extensive systems and what it means for cow happiness and an appropriate selection is going to be an important part of what we all do.
Yeah, that's great. Sheena, economics, profitability, you know, always very, very important. Where do you see this type of analysis and fitting into, I guess, the Dairy Up story more broadly? Is I know we're looking at just a couple of data sets at the moment, and we did take the caveats that you gave on what's happening at the moment, but how do you see it fits in with what else is happening within Dairy Up?
Well, I think, you know, it's a challenge. It's not just Dairy Up. It's, as Ian said, it's the whole New South Wales industry that we're looking at. And I think what we're trying to do, both in this project and in all projects in Dairy Up, is provide farmers with, you know, quality information to help them in their decision-making process, whether it's the type of system that they're investing in or the type of cow that they're investing in. We're trying to give farmers some, you know, good data backed up to help them back up their decisions and the direction they take their farm. And I think, you know, as we've been saying, we've got many different systems in New South Wales. They can all be profitable if they're managed well, and if the people running these businesses are able to optimise the resources that they have at their fingertips. So, you know, we're not being prescriptive in any way, saying we suggest the industry go in this particular direction. It's really just about giving people good information to help them determine which direction is best for them, I think, Niall.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, isn't it? It's doing the analysis to then provide the tools, the insights to then allow the farmers to make the decisions that are going to be best for them, because we know all of those businesses are individual. So, so that's the role, yeah?
Yeah, and I think, look, we talk about economics, but, you know, ultimately for different people run businesses for different ways. Not everyone wants to optimise profit. Some people are in dairying because they're passionate about cows, and that's the thing that motivates and drives them. Others are, you know, fantastic at growing pasture and utilising it, and that's their focus. And then, you know, there's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle that they've grown up with and that they enjoy. So it's all part of a big picture. I don't think we can say, you know, profitability or the economics is the be all and end all. It's part of the big picture in helping them with their decision making.
Yeah, great. Good points. Absolutely. It's a vocation as much as a lifestyle as a job. So yeah, that's great points. Cameron, I guess one of the common themes that we're looking at here, and you mentioned this in your presentation, is that it's not from a lack of data. There's data everywhere, and you're pulling in data from a whole range of different sources as well. But we're now at a point where we can actually start to pull apart, compare, analyze this data. Is that the exciting part of what's happening here at the moment? And is that what is now possible as we move into 2022 and beyond?
Yeah, definitely. I think just to that example of, you know, optimizing allocation of grain within a herd, that basically what Anna and others in this data science realm are doing, if you like, creating a model for every single animal within the herd using existing data, and that model consists of various things, and how that animal responds to the environment. As the model optimizes itself, that it actually parameterizes, if you like, it puts these traits to every single cow that's in our herd. So it's revealing that interaction between that animal and environment without us industry doing anything. That it's exploiting that value without any complexity, and then providing those, if you like, traits to industry to breed better animals, and around and round it goes. That, as I said, yeah, dairy is there aren't many industries where you get a twice daily estimate of the food that's being produced, if not more. You know, others are doing 3 times, if not one, even once a day. What other industry provides that type of input from the source? So that we are data rich, but analysis poor. I got to say that there are analytics happening, but not in the way that other industries are doing it and exploiting. So let's do that.
Yeah, great points. I mean, some industries get it once a year, right? Or even a couple of years, depending on what industry you're in. And as you say, we're getting those data sets to analyze daily.
Totally. Think about the beef cattle. Sorry, no, beef cattle industry. Let's go to Queensland, Northern Territory. Beef cattle industry see their cattle or estimates of food production twice a year.
Yeah.
You know, and their problem is the monitoring of those animals. We're getting that data, and they'd love to have that data, and we have that. So our focus, I think, and it's rightly so, is on data for this industry, for our industry.
Look, we've got, thanks, Cameron. We've got time for 2 very quick questions. Both of them come in through the chat from Damien. So, Ian, we'll kick off with you first. Damien has said that we ring the opposite in his system. As cows are older, their body condition increases. Is this a reflection on our herd genetics or production system?
I think I'd have to see the specific situation and work through it, but it's an observation that's possible. We see this particularly in herds with poor reproductive performance, is that they have long days in milk, and if they have long days in milk, then they do get heavy and they get obese. So one of the things about the data sets that we've got is that you know, they were conducted by and large in very good herds. And so there may be a selection bias we've got in our herd selections, but you know, we've seen, look, you see that, and that can happen. So it's a possibility of herd genetics and combination of breeding strategies and diet. So all those things could influence that outcome for Damien.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ian. And last question to you, Sheena, on return on asset. Is capital gain going to be factored in your long-term data?
Good question, Damien. At this point, when we're doing using the Dairy Farm Monitor tool for our analysis, we don't reflect capital gain over time. Potentially, it is something worth looking at as we go, but not just in intensive systems, across all systems, I think. Yes, so I will note that down. It's something worth discussing for sure.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, thanks for your time this morning. Particularly thanks to Ian, Sheena, and Cameron for their contribution, and also to take